Dan with the chart, guys. We had some weakness over the weekend and to end last week in Bitcoin. There are some things that are making me a little bit cautious in the short term. Fortunately, Ethereum looks much better than Bitcoin, but as we know, we can't ignore what Bitcoin's doing. We've also got some stocks to check in on. MSTR is testing a key support level. And of course, the altcoin space still struggling, but some names standing out stronger than others. Let's get to the charts. Learn how to trade stocks, crypto, and hype sectors with a global chat room led by professional traders, as well as daily live streams at chartguys.com. All right, fancy intro. So we've got Bitcoin. Why are there red flags? So we've got a double top at all-time highs with no follow through. So that's a little bit of a red flag. Why? As I've talked about recently, there's been a number of things. If you look at, the last third of my trading career, if you break it up into 5-year periods, the last 5 years, I've improved on megaphone patterns as my biggest improvement and recognizing flags with no follow through as reversals. And that is what is potentially shaping up. I'm not calling a top. I'm not ready to go bearish. I'm ready to say, we need to be cautious. We need to, it's been easy street bull mode, nothing to worry about for months. That may be changing. And so for me, that means taking my foot off the gas. I'm speaking more in a broader sense of the market as a whole, but certainly for crypto as well. And we have plenty of examples. I mean, we know back in 2021, the monthly bull flag confirmed to new all-time highs with zero follow through. That was the cycle top. We go to the weekly chart. This was a weekly bull flag that confirmed to a new all-time high with no follow-through, and it led to 3 months of consolidation. This was a weekly bear flag that confirmed with no follow-through and marked the start of the bulls taking back over. So plenty of examples, and here is our bull flag, new all-time high, no follow-through. So of course we have the key support level to be watching, and we can say as long as we hold 111,000.9, we'll call 112, a little bit lower. As long as that holds, bulls are just fine. If you want a simple statement, that's what it is. And so what the bulls are hoping to achieve to start this week, go to the 2-day time frame, is they want a 2-day tightening range. Big move up, big retracement. Bulls want a 50% bounce retracement to see a 2-day equilibrium shape up. And to get that 50% bounce retracement, they need to make their way back into the upper 119s. So that's a possibility. What has to happen if that's going to happen? We need a 4-hour uptrend. So I'm starting zoomed in here. We'll go back zoomed out in just a moment. We've got to confirm a 4-hour uptrend whenever this bounce tops out with anything under 118.4 as a lower high. If we confirm a 4-hour uptrend, that's the start of the 2-day higher low being set. So that's what the bulls need to do if we're going to say, okay, we're just fine. We had a little concern, but bulls are holding on just fine. What the bears want to see, obviously, is a break of that support of 111.9. And again, on the weekly time frame, whenever we get bull breaks, no follow through, we got to be watching for the possibility of a rising wedge. If bears are going to follow through, it would be a rising wedge, breaking 111.9 and shaping up monthly consolidation. You need to determine, do you care more about the weekly EMA 12 support guide, which has been holding for the last 3 months, or do you care more about the monthly EMA 12 support guide, which has been holding for the last 2 years almost? Because they're very different, obviously. We will lose the weekly EMA 12 likely if we break 111.9 with any kind of follow through, because it's currently sitting at 112.8. So that's a much closer signal. The monthly is all the way down at 95. So do you want to give the trade a longer leash to play out? Me personally, when I'm confident in my skill set and my ability to jump in and out, if I'm in a swing position, I am exiting if 111.9 breaks, and I then zoom out to the monthly and say, okay, I need to be ready to potentially re-enter quickly if it is just a monthly high or low with no concern. So I like to break things down into a checklist. What do bulls need to alleviate some concern, regain the 4-hour uptrend, 2-day 50% bounce retracement to shape up a 2-day equilibrium? That's what bulls need to do in the short term. the burden's on bears in the longer term. The bears must break 111.9 thousand, and if they do so, they need to follow through by a few percent. With where we stand in the broader stock market, just checking in, we can see Bitcoin, again, the big red day on Thursday was in partially in response to high PPI numbers. Why would that matter? Number one, correlation to the NASDAQ, but number two, the high PPI numbers significantly decreased the probability of a rate cut in September. And you know, if you're following Ben Cohen, he's talking about rates and more macro stuff often as far as the implications on crypto and the altcoin space and all that. And so if the market was 95% sure a rate cut is coming in September, and now they're only 80% sure or 75% sure, then that shifts the outlook a bit. But again, the bears on the weekly got to close under weekly EMA 12 with a break of 111.9. So again, I'm cautious. I'm saying, okay, I don't like the look of that. You know, I was out to dinner with my Bitcoin friend last night, said, I really don't like that bull flag, no follow through, but just got to hold that 111.9. And so that's all I care about here. We've been trading within this range essentially for the last 5-6 weeks. And so patiently waiting for a break one way or the other. The dominance chart did confirm the weekly bear flag. That's great. As we know at this point, it's pretty much, it went from Bitcoin to Ethereum. It is not alt season right now. We're not seeing the names performing in any kind of meaningful way. And there's a lot of altcoin setups. We'll look at a bunch of them here. But there's a lot of altcoin setups that have the possibility to keep tightening up for another couple of months if you look at their longer term time frames. And we'll look at some of those in just a moment. But dominance chart dropping off was a great sign for the Ethereum bulls. We've got the next goal for any alt bull is you want to see the dominance chart close under monthly EMA 12 after we've held it for years, close under it. We're currently under it. We'll see how we close in 13 days, but starting to make progress towards the potential of a shift away from Bitcoin into other places. Obviously, altcoin bulls want it to be more than just a shift into ETH. They want to see a shift into ETH and a bunch of other names. And we are getting, you know, peppered here and there with other names like Link getting a little attention. We'll look at that. But again, it's not a sector-wide everything go. All right, so speaking of Ethereum, so if Bitcoin looked the same as ETH, I wouldn't have any concerns. It looks just fine. Obviously, because there is correlation that matters, that we have a little concern. But you know, right now we have a tiny dinky daily downtrend confirming on ETH, and we're trying to hold daily EMA 12. But again, it's the retracement size that I care about. I need to close that door because of the AC, and I'm not wearing pants. I am wearing underwear, but we need to do this for just a quick second. That's a hot dog. All right. Got to pay extra for that. So, retracement size is what I care about on ETH. We had the weekly bull flag. We were looking at the weekly cup and handle type of setup. Why were we looking at that? Because we had the triple top. Everybody's watching this resistance, bull flag, consolidation, and big time follow through. So that all went perfectly. We did double top at the all-time high. Not surprising to just go, 100% plus into resistance and fail initially. But it's the retracement size on the last leg up that I care about from that weekly low. And it's still 382 right now. So this is still a bull flag unless bears prove otherwise. Again, bears want 50% plus retracement. So if we break 4,000 on ETH, then we start saying, that's not ideal. But I'm pretty much saying if we hold the back test of resistance as support, which is that 4,000 to 4,100, bulls are just fine. So keep that marked on your chart. And if we're above that, or testing it and holding it, that's just fine. So often you'll see, this is Lamont puts out the weekly video on Sundays on our YouTube channel. He does volume profile analysis. So very often you'll break a key level, you back test it, and as long as you hold it, you're just fine. And so That's where the ETH bulls stand right now. And of course, ETH BTC doing the same thing, looks just fine, no red flags, still in the spotlight with the BTC pairing and the US dollar pairing doing the same thing, and actually a little bit stronger than the US dollar pairing, which is great. So no red flags there. As far as crypto stocks, we'll do a quick rundown. MSTR, this is the support level, lowest level that we've seen in 3.5 months. And that is 358. We've held it 5 times now, and we're battling to hold it to start the week. So that's a very important support test currently underway. I've been focused more on the ETH treasury companies. BMNR, we're scouting a daily higher low as the most likely scenario. And there are no red flags with this consolidation. Again, do that retracement. Alt F. And the retracement, bulls want, simple statement would be, that needs to be the daily higher low. If a bull flag is going to remain in play, 52.65. Bulls will need to confirm an hourly uptrend when this tops out. But keeping an eye out for a potential daily higher low entry on BMNR to start the week. SBET, I like the clarity of this equilibrium. It's a beautiful tightening range. Stair step up, big drop, stair step bounce. Again, same thing. Bulls want this to be the higher low. They've got to prove it tomorrow, but I'd like to see us keep tightening up. And if we do, then we know end of this week or early next week, this daily equilibrium is going to break, and we're going to get a solid spike in volatility in SBET. Other names, Coin. I'm on the 2-day for Coin. Bulls need to confirm the 2-day trend change for the weekly to remain healthy. We had that bearish earnings reaction, but it is just a weekly higher low at this point. Need to confirm the 2-day uptrend on Coin with a break at 345.39. The miners are still extremely weak. Again, the miners are just being lumped with the altcoins at this point where, I mean, the answer is much better places to put your money. And, you know, here's MARA trading at levels that we were trading at back before the start of the year. So, I mean, essentially, it's 8 months of going nowhere. CLSK, same deal. That can change, right? I'm constantly watching to see if it's going to change, but there's just no sign of it. I mean, this is 2 years of Riot doing nothing. We're at the same price as 2 years ago. So it's just not the spot to be. It's just focus, right? Attention. Where's the hype? Where's the narrative? It's in these treasury companies for now. It is not in these miners. Maybe that changes. I'm not going to assume it's going to change. I'm not going to park my money in names that are doing nothing to prove relative strength and hope it shows up. I'm going to see relative strength, recognize a rotation, and then act, and it won't be nailing the bottom, but you've got to have the momentum in your favor, seeing signs of something happening, not hoping something happens. Hope is not a strategy with trading. Not one that leads to longevity. I think that's all the crypto stocks I want to talk about. CRCL, I'm scouting a monthly higher low. 0, I'm being very patient. Second daily inside bar. It's going to be volatile tomorrow when these break. But tons of space for a monthly higher low to form. And just patiently waiting for a spot where I can say that's either the monthly higher low for a long swing entry or I'm wrong. And we don't have anything shaping up at this point that would lead me to say something like that. So altcoins, and my chat isn't working. Thanks for likes and stuff. I need to pull up a different thing here so I can read what you're saying. Don't want to show that. Where's YouTube? All right, there you are. Okay. So, actually, okay, altcoins first, then I'll answer the questions. So, Link has been standing out with its relative strength, daily higher lows. So a higher low at 20.85, higher low at 21.34. So the simple statement is if daily EMA 12 is support, the bulls keep full control. Daily uptrend is our guide. So Link has been showing strength. You go to Link BTC, you can see the same. Again, it's in the spotlight. If I pull up another name, XRP BTC, it's in a downtrend, right? We want the names where the alt USD pairing is doing the same uptrend as the alt BTC pairing. That's the spotlight. ETH obviously had the spotlight. Link now has the spotlight. But daily uptrends are guide. And the key resistance on Link here is 27.20 and then back to 30.95. And then we got some key resistances after that. But if we're going to get to, back to high of the last 52 weeks, we need 52-week highs. We need another 20+%. But a daily uptrend is at least a guide here. ADA saw a little bit of rotation. Let's compare. So here's ADA's daily chart. What's ADA BTC doing? Very similar. Okay, trying to gain the spotlight. Some of the older coins, as we know, as I keep saying, names like Zora with smaller market caps and closer to all-time highs, they're going to give you the bigger gains. They're going to be able to go 100% in a week or two. The bigger coins are not going to be able to do that unless we hit big crazy bull mode, which there's no sign of it at this point. But Zora holding a daily higher low at 933, holding daily EMA 12, and got to get back over 11.5 to keep full control. Anytime you get a name that's run hundreds of percent, 1,000%, whatever, we always got to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Not skeptical. Just got to be cautious that it doesn't enter the cycle of lead bull to lead bear, which is where alts always end up. The lead bull will always go to be the lead bear eventually. And so you've got to be recognizing when that shift takes place. At the moment for Zora, this is the exact same excuse me. Exact same consolidation. Pullback, dinky little lower high, hold support, resistance break. Pull back, dinky little lower high, hold support. Can we break resistance? It's the exact same consolidation at the moment. Bulls got to get back over that level. As far as the altcoins that are tightening up, a name like Doge, look at the 2-month chart on Doge. We can stay within this range for a very long time. Low, high, higher low, anything under 48.4, over 100% away. Anything under that's just a lower high. I mean, if you told me that we were going to tighten up on this 2-month time frame into Q1 2026, I wouldn't argue. I'd say, okay, that makes sense. That's a very wide range. That's entirely possible. Absolutely. So you look at a name like this, and again, it's just not a strong chart. Weekly resistance break right into a pullback. There are other ones that look like potential rising wedges. I mean, Sol is a potential rising wedge for a longer term lower high. Look at the weekly chart. You break weekly resistance, right into consolidation. You break weekly resistance. If we go right into consolidation again, we're scouting a rising wedge. So again, you just got to have both scenarios laid out as part of the game plan. I'm not saying that this is the most likely scenario, but I'm saying if Bitcoin, you're going to get two completely different things. If Bitcoin holds 111.9, let's just call it at 112. If we hold 112, then bulls are going to be just fine, and we'll keep confidence in the space. If you lose 112 and we head back down, closer towards 100, you're going to see these altcoins significantly weaken and give back a lot of the strength over the last couple of months. So again, you need the game plan of, okay, if Bitcoin holds this support, this is how I'm going to approach this market. If Bitcoin breaks that support, this is how I'm going to approach this market. I don't know which is going to happen. I can determine probabilities. I can say, okay, I think 60% chance we're going to hold support, or 80% chance, wherever you align with your beliefs based on your analysis. And then that dictates, your focus or aggressiveness when the thing happens that you're looking for. But again, there's just so much of crypto is not having those game plans. There's not, people just have the one track mind, which obviously leads people to get in trouble and hold through cycles, which is obviously what we're trying not to do. Okay. So Topher doesn't expect the usual 80% bear market this time. Volatility should be far less now that institutional money and governments are involved. I can agree with that, just in the sense that, you know, Bitcoin, the gains to the upside are going to be diminishing due to increased market cap size, increased liquidity, etc. So same thing to the downside. I think that's a fair enough statement. You know, 50% instead of 80%. I can get on board with that. I do think volatility instrument will continue to shrink. I do think big money, when the time is right, and the time will be right when the broader stock market has a significant amount of fear, will be shorting these ETFs and force outflows, which will put pressure on price even further. They will use these instruments for the downside. It's just got to be the right macro time, which we haven't really seen the right macro time for shorting these ETFs yet since they've existed. There will come a time where people hate these ETFs. Mark this, I've said it before, mark it. There will come a time in a bear market where the outflows in the ETFs is so constant because of shorting that people will hate them. It happened with cannabis. Cannabis stocks ran 1,000% plus because the ETF was new and it was buying and they were illiquid. And then you had a multiple year bear market and everybody is blaming the ETF managers and hates the ETF. I do believe that will happen, but not just yet. BTC, it's not broken. The dominance chart is not broken. It's making progress for alt bulls. But again, that monthly chart, you know, what if we close with a lower wick and we close over the monthly and we look back and say, uh-oh, is this like November and December of 2024? That's possible. We have to see how this monthly candle closes. We can say this is the best the dominance chart has looked for alt bulls in the last 8 months or whatever. But more is still needed. It is going to be an important FOMC decision in September because the market was sure it was coming, and now we're not so sure. It is still the most likely scenario. Reading MSTR. So yeah, still holding that support. MSTR bulls need to break the high of today tomorrow to successfully defend 358 support. Congrats, Drift, on taking some profit. Again, I took some long-term no-touch profit at 105-ish. I don't regret it. You know, I could have sold at 115. It doesn't matter. You know, just a little trim, euphoria. We'll see. And again, also keep in mind, Bitcoin has space for a monthly high or low, right? We will see monthly consolidation eventually, if I can click the right button. So anything above 74 will be a monthly high or low. Just like the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ will see monthly consolidation. We went straight up from the tariff fear V-shape. We're going to pull back. Everybody's going to be calling a top. Maybe it's the top, but I'm going to be scouting a monthly high or low as the most likely scenario. And you better believe that if the NASDAQ is seeing monthly consolidation, it's highly likely that Bitcoin is seeing monthly consolidation as well. Again, there's no sign of it in the NASDAQ, but I'm telling the future, right? Technical analysis is not about predicting, but with our experience, I know there will be monthly consolidation. I know what social media sentiment will be like as that's happening and what people will be saying. And I know the most likely result of what that monthly consolidation will be. What I don't know is how significant will the retracement be when that monthly consolidation happens. And that's the information that we're going to get on a day-to-day basis as it's happening. XRP. So again, it's the way I'm viewing this is just a tightening range where we've got the all-time high. The weekly high or low is the most important support, similar to Bitcoin 112. We did set a lower high real quick here, and now we're trying for a higher low. So, I mean, really, it's like you could go, if you want more detail, you go to the 4-day or the 5-day. It's just an equilibrium on those time frames. 4-day equilibrium. It's not picture perfect, but it's just a tightening range. After a breakout, we're constricting within this range. So it's the same thing as Bitcoin. The simple statement is if 272 is support, longer term, there's nothing to worry about. And this range is going to keep tightening up maybe for another week or two. And then it's going to break, and we're going to get a whole bunch more information with the direction that this tightening range breaks. And so just like Bitcoin, these bulls, we've already got. So Bitcoin wants the 2-day higher low to keep tightening up. Yeah, it's the same setup. The big difference is Bitcoin got the higher high, XRP got a lower high. Supra. Weekly EMA 12 has been tough. So again, it's another tightening range. 2-day. If we reject from this resistance, which we are consolidating underneath right now, equilibrium. Low, high, higher, low. If the bears prove this lower high by confirming a 4-hour downtrend, confirming a 12-hour downtrend, we're going to look for a higher low compared to 3, and we'll look to keep tightening up for a week plus. We're at a setup right now, generally speaking, where tightening ranges are becoming the most likely scenario into next week. That said, we're at a different spot where bears have to prove it here on the daily. Bitcoin bulls have to prove it with the 2-day higher low. So it's a bit different in that regard. Crypto video views haven't really stood out as an analytic, is for information. Haven't really stood out one way or the other for a very long time. Cannabis, you get a headline, you get price action. My views will double there very easily. Crypto is a lot more consistent. Don't really get the surge of new views, new interest with price action. How do I think the market will react to rate cuts and to QE? Honestly, again, this is just me being honest. I have no idea, and I don't need to know to make money in markets. I have no idea how it's going to react. Whenever I head into the FOMC day, I care about what does the market expect? Do we get what the market was expecting or not? And that just tells me how volatile is the reaction going to be. If it's a 95% chance and we get the 95%, it's not going to be volatile. And we'll react to when Powell speaks at 2:30 p.m. when he's talking about forward-looking statements. If it's a 50-50, it's going to be a volatile reaction. So really, I just wait for the reaction. Are we breaking support or are we breaking resistance? And that's the information that I utilize. How many people do what I do and pretend like they know what's going to happen? Or pretend like their opinion matters more than any? My opinion on what the reaction to the market would be is no more valuable than yours. But so many people pretend like they've got this insight or whatever. 15 years experience, my opinion is no more value than yours as to what the market would do on a rate cut in September. Am I of the belief of bull market heading into early 2026? I'm not the kind of person that uses time as a factor in my trading at all. I'm of the belief that we're in an uptrend, and I'm going to keep looking bullish as long as we're in uptrends. As you know, how long will that continue? I don't know. But it's the kind of market environment where it's bears have to prove to me that I need to shift my mindset. And Bitcoin breaking 112 would start to do that. The NASDAQ bears have not confirmed a clear daily downtrend in like 3.5 months. So I stay bullish until that happens. BNB USDT. What time frame is the most important? How do you determine what's the most important time frame? So that's a bit of personal preference, and it comes with experience, which isn't a great answer because you got to look at thousands of charts to then become comfortable. But what I do is I cycle through the charts and the different time frames, and I want to find the time frame that stands out as clear to me. Well, how do I know what's clear? It's the things that I've looked at thousands of times that I've then become comfortable with. So you have to have the background of the experience to know, I just cycle through the charts and, oh, this is nice and clear. And right now on the weekly for Binance, I like the weekly just because we got our higher low. That's the must hold level. There's relative strength here. If Binance was doing the same thing as Bitcoin, we'd be trading down probably around 780s right now. So without even looking, I know BNB divided by BNB BTC is up near those highs. The recent highs, I should say. So yeah, we're up at the recent highs because I can just look at the chart and see it's stronger. If Binance were doing the same thing as Bitcoin, we would have bull breaked with no follow through, and we'd be trading, we would have dropped down here and we'd be trading right here, right now. But we've got the daily uptrend. If you want, again, how long do you want to give the leash? If I just entered back here, this support level really matters to me, 812, because if that level's lost, we're back to my entry point. We've lost the daily uptrend. I don't want to go red on that trade. If my entry was down here, I care about the weekly higher low. So key support 812.57, key resistance 869.40, and we probably just have a 12-hour equilibrium. High, higher low, lower high. We're scouting the higher low. This tightening range is going to break within the next 48 hours, most likely. And we're either heading up to a new all-time high with some follow-through, hopefully, or we're going to lose the daily uptrend and head back down towards weekly support and pretty much follow Bitcoin. My opinion is worth money on my analysis, my trading psychology, things like that. What's the market going to do to a fundamental event? Sometimes it has value. Like I was all over buy the news, buy the Ukrainian invasion, because that's market psychology. If we drop for weeks because they keep telling us it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and then it comes, you look for a buy the news scenario. But an FOMC reaction, nah. Itchy, you funny bud. Advice for someone who works full-time and what to learn trading and eventually do it full-time. So first off, you have to put in thousands of hours. You will not be able to trade full-time without putting in 5,000 plus hours. What does that look like? If you put in 5 hours every single day, I'm putting math on the spot, 2,000 days. How many years is that? 6 years? So if you're putting in 5 hours every day, 6 years. And you can look to potentially be a full-time trader. Just keep it real. It's like it is the same thing as asking, what do I need to do to be a lawyer full-time? That's how much time you need to put in. You got to do the 4 years of school. You got to do the whatever, the bar, whatever. If you're going full-time, that's what you have to do. If you're looking to keep a full-time job and learn a skill set that can benefit you with swing trading, with managing your retirement, things like that, then you can put in much less time and it can be useful. But go on our website and go through the educational roadmap, and there's a step-by-step of a bunch of dozens of hours of content in terms of a starting point and then where you want to progress to learn the core pillars of technical analysis that then you have to put experience on top of. Okay. I appreciate you watching. Bitcoin bulls must confirm a 4-hour uptrend. Then we go to the 2-day time frame. And we watch for, can the bulls get the 50% plus bounce retracement to then tell us a 2-day equilibrium is the most likely scenario into next week. The burden is on bulls here in the short term. ETH looks way better than Bitcoin. BMNR need to set that daily higher low with some proof tomorrow. Same with MSTR if that 358 support's going to continue to hold. Be skeptical of your altcoins. And I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to do good things. Peace.